Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. BTS World Tour, ARIRANG, in North America is not only about the grandeur of the concerts, impressive choreography, and spectacular performances on stage. Behind the massive production, there are many simple moments that reveal another side of BTS. How they prepare, give each other feedback, joke around, take care of their physical condition, and pay attention to one another. One moment that caught quite a bit of attention was the interaction between Jimin and Jungkook. In the middle of their busy preparations, Jungkook showed concern after learning that Jimin was not feeling his best. Jungkook even mentioned that he had heard Jimin was feeling unwell and immediately expressed concern about his condition. Jimin then tried to reassure Jungkook by explaining that he was fine because he had already received N4. It was a simple conversation, but it showed that Jungkook was still paying attention to Jimin's condition. He seemed to make sure that Jimin was truly okay before the conversation continued. Of course, there is no need to read too much into the moment. Still, small gestures of concern like this are interesting because they show how the members look out for one another, especially when one of them is not feeling their best. Interestingly, the conversation about Jimin's condition also connected to his eating habits. Jungkook noticed that Jimin was only eating a small amount and asked why his portion was so small. Jimin explained that he had already eaten earlier. It was just a brief conversation, but once again, it showed that even with their incredibly busy schedules, the members still notice little things such as each other's food and physical condition. Another topic that was just as entertaining was Jimin and Jungkook's sleeping habits. Taeyong once described the two of them as people who could fall into an incredibly deep sleep, almost as if they had passed out. Jin also joined in and agreed that they really could sleep that deeply. The story becomes even funnier when remembering Jimin's story about Jungkook's sleeping habits. Jimin once shared that Jungkook used his arm as a pillow. While half asleep, Jimin even heard a sound that sounded like a power drill, only to realize that it was actually Jungkook snoring. This simple story about sleep offers an interesting glimpse into how close the members are in their everyday lives. They know each other's habits, can talk about them casually, and even turn them into jokes together. There is nothing formal or staged about it. In fact, because it happens so naturally, the conversation becomes even more entertaining. Jimin also stole the spotlight again when he read instructions for the audience with an incredibly serious energy. While explaining the normal section, Jimin asked ARMY to move their hands more enthusiastically and to perform the commentary and spoken parts correctly. What made the situation even funnier was the way Jimin delivered those instructions. His tone and expression were so firm that Jungkook immediately laughed and asked why Jimin was acting like that. Suga also laughed and wondered why Jimin sounded as though he was angry. In reality, Jimin was simply reading the instructions. But his expression and tone made it sound as if he were scolding everyone. The members' spontaneous reactions turned the serious situation into one of the most entertaining moments. Another interesting moment happened when Jungkook followed Jimin's stretching movements. During practice, a staff member instructed Jungkook to raise part of his body higher while performing the movement. Instead of simply continuing with the exercise, Jungkook briefly looked toward Jimin and smiled, creating a spontaneous reaction that immediately felt funny. There is, of course, no need to take the moment too far. Basically, it was just a light-hearted reaction during a relaxed practice session. But small interactions like this can easily catch attention because they reveal the members' natural sides when they are not in the middle of a performance. Beyond all the jokes and playful moments, BTS World Tour, ARIRANG, in North America also shows just how much preparation is required for a large-scale tour. The members do not simply walk onto the stage and perform. There are repeated rehearsals, stage checks, performance evaluations, choreography coordination, position discussions, and conversations about how certain parts should be delivered to the audience. They pay attention to details that ARMY may not always notice while watching the concert. Song speed, movement synchronization, timing, body positions, stage transitions, and even how they respond to the audience all have to be carefully considered. During several rehearsal sessions, the members also evaluated areas that could still be improved. They gave each other feedback and adjusted their movements so that the group performance could look even more synchronized. This shows that even after years of stage experience, BTS never stops paying attention to the details. Discussions about Dynamite and Swim, for example, showed how the members could discuss specific movements, including Jimin's body positioning. Corrections were given casually without making the atmosphere tense. Even when certain parts needed to be fixed or adjusted, the conversation remained filled with jokes. This is one of the things that makes BTS's working process so interesting to watch. They are not simply following choreography they have already learned. They continue to evaluate and refine it so that their performances together can become even better. Physical condition is also an important part of their preparation. A tour with a packed concert schedule requires tremendous stamina. The members have to maintain their energy on stage while dealing with stadium conditions, weather, heat, costume changes, and many other preparations taking place within limited amounts of time. Even costume changes require highly organized coordination. Each member has to know exactly when to start getting ready so they can return to the stage on time. Jungkook once talked about how quickly he can change clothes, while some of the other members need more time to prepare themselves. This shows that the performances that look spontaneous and effortless in front of ARMY are actually supported by extremely structured coordination behind the scenes. Yet in the middle of all that activity, the members' conversations are still filled with simple everyday topics. One topic that comes up repeatedly is honey. J-Hope explained that the honey was originally given to him by his parents while he was doing concert activities because they believed it could help provide energy. After trying it and liking the taste, honey eventually became part of his routine. J-Hope also shared it with the other members. Eventually, the honey became a small topic that kept coming up in their conversations. The members talked about its taste, texture, whether it was really wild honey, how much was left, and even joked about who should buy more. Simple things like this make the atmosphere feel much closer to everyday life. Behind their status as global superstars, there are still conversations about food, hunger, drinks, rest, and all kinds of small, very human things. The members also talked about ARMY's reactions to certain songs. They noticed how the audience sang along and how the emotional atmosphere changed when ARMY gave a huge response to their performances. Even interacting with the audience requires coordination. Instructions such as "come on," "make some noise," or "everyone jump" have to be delivered at the right moments so that all the members can participate together. What looks spontaneous on stage has actually gone through a lot of consideration beforehand. Jimin even appeared extremely serious when making sure that various movements and comments were performed correctly. The way Jimin gives instructions sometimes makes the other members laugh again because he sounds as if he is scolding them. On the other hand, conversations about exhaustion and rest are also part of their daily routine. Rest days are used to recover their energy, get enough sleep, go out for a walk, or simply enjoy some time without the pressure of being on stage. From there, the conversation once again returned to Jimin and Jungkook, who are known for being able to sleep incredibly deeply. Jungkook was even said to have slept until nighttime. Conversations like this sound completely natural because they are not moments intentionally created to attract attention. They are simply talking about each other's everyday habits. And perhaps that is exactly why these moments feel so interesting. In the middle of a massive stage, thousands of ARMY, dazzling lights, and an extraordinary concert production, a simple everyday life continues behind the scenes. There are repeated rehearsals, evaluations, coordination, costume changes, conversations about physical condition, food, honey, and jokes about sleeping habits. All of these details become part of the long process that allows a BTS concert to run smoothly. Among all of these moments, the interactions between Jimin and Jungkook remain some of the easiest to notice. From Jungkook showing concern after learning that Jimin was not feeling well, to his attention toward Jimin's eating habits, stories about their sleeping habits, and his spontaneous reaction while following Jimin's stretching movements. None of these moments needs to be treated as something huge. In fact, their simplicity is what makes them interesting. Small interactions like these show how the members can look out for each other without turning it into something dramatic. Ultimately, BTS World Tour, ARIRANG, in North America gives us a much more complete picture of BTS behind the stage. We do not only see 7 performers delivering flawless performances in front of thousands of fans, but also 7 people who continue to work together, remind each other of things, give feedback, take care of their physical condition, share food, and joke around in between their busy schedules. Every concert is an opportunity for BTS to meet and perform in front of ARMY. But the process behind the stage shows that every performance requires hard work, discipline, coordination, and teamwork. And perhaps, among all those major preparations, it is the smallest details that are the easiest to remember. Jimin sounding as though he was scolding everyone while reading the instructions, the story about Jungkook using Jimin's arm as a pillow, their simple conversations about honey, and Jungkook's concern as he made sure Jimin was okay. Because in the end, it is not only the massive stage that makes BTS's journey so fascinating to follow. The simple details behind the scenes also show how they work, laugh, look after one another, and go through this long journey together as a team. Those were some of the simple moments behind BTS World Tour, ARIRANG, in North America. From small gestures of concern to spontaneous jokes, all of these moments show the natural sense of togetherness among BTS. If you enjoy moments between Jimin and Jungkook like these, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video here on Jikook Moments.